Good morning. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. This is my third video. I'm having quite the battle at removing myself from the politics and the capitalistic dogma of the Christian church right now. And all that I'm going to say is, in ministry with the King and my brother, in and around Austin. So that goes from San Marcos, where there is Beaty family, all the way to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. San Antonio has been cut off right now, and indeed that is where my grandmother died of uterine cancer. That's in my testimony, is in San Antonio. And there was a lot of negativity that came through what happened to my dad's family, as far as the 5 siblings and the parents. The dad is my grandfather, Robert Hilton Beaty, and he died dead in a street in Texas, but it wasn't San Antonio. And ever since that moment, and then his grandson, my brother, died twice. And it was duly testified in a Christian cultish midst, which neither one of us can have anything to do with, but I faithfully stayed in the Christian church. And now I'm reading the book of Enoch, and the reason that I did that was in love with the New Jerusalem. I persevered in a place that was killing my, so to speak, according to the book of Revelation, particularly, was killing my people. My grandmother was Pentecostal, stayed faithful to the church. I don't know about my grandfather. I do know he stood against slavery. He did not in any way, shape, or form identify with the Beaty side of the family, how there were some slaves in his background, slave ownership in his background. Presumably, my grandparents chose poverty over a life that would cause slavery to continue. There's millions of people that did not make the choice that my grandparents righteously made, and I'm the voice of Tribe Judah elect to tell you that. I have been doing this for quite some time, and the reason that I'm having a hard time getting the tone of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem, The Rainy Day, correct is because you pick the poison. It's hard, and I live in one of the states where it's harder still to stay out of the vitriol. You pick the poison in this day and age. According to the book of Enoch, I have been ministering to generations of watchers every bit as much as I have been ministering to Tribe Judah election and company my whole life, and it's not just this one. The one that the life representation that I speak a voice through, which comes to me at this point in time as I'm about to read a poem that I've tried. This is my third try. I can't get the video right. And I had this problem with J.R.R. Tolkien. I had to put the 3 volumes of The Lord of the Rings away. I couldn't even handle it, and that's because we're living in it. I now have found the grace of God as a scribe, which is what Enoch was to many of the archangels, a scribe. And I've already told everyone that I'm a scribe. So there's an Enoch generation thing going on here that I will admit it, but I don't want to say much because it's mysterious. And I have mysterious in the flesh happening constantly. See, here's the thing. The king's fine with what I release. Any of it. But, well, here's how it's going for Tribe Judah elect. on my websites. We filled up uncoverednomore.blog. Yay, fam. And it's very accurate. So if you want to know about that part of my life, I've started on the second one. And this one is uncoverednomore666.wordpress.com. And it is a cacophony of gorgeous being brought into reality in a very nurtured, well-formed, creative way. And Robert Browning's poem that I'm doing right now is downstairs at my father's desk and on his drafting board as well, along with Abraham Lincoln, and my tarot Rider-Waite deck is there. That's the oldest, the most standard deck, and I have reasons to do that, which are on the internet. That's all you're going to hear from me. Now, the Watchers from the Book of Enoch were polluted by women. Let me explain that. When you bring yourself down and have sex with a woman and have children, you just put yourself in a human position as an archangel or angel that needs to be ruled by women, period. We're the ones bringing the children in the world. We need to be listened to 100% of the time. And I have the Apostle John's authority on that, according to 2 John. Most archangels and angels do not listen to women. Don't know how. We're taught the dark arts using tarot and every form of oracle and messed it up. So what you do, Christian world, is unmess it up, which is what the King and I are doing in creation ability. I can't, with all of my oracle, I am developing new habits. I don't listen to most of what came from the past. I'm a sorceress and I have the authority to do that, to cleanse oracle. At the same time that I sit at the feet of masters who are obviously great people, like Ralph H. Bloom. Anyone who spends time like myself. But these people have actually published books that are selling, saying, I'm a scribe like Enoch. My shit don't sell. That's because I understand the 666, and you know what that is in Revelation. And in every Christian mind, that has to be male authority that says that. Bullshit. Okay, so here I am, Lord, send me. Is happening again. And this is what I drew for The Rainy Day by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So let's just turn to that and read it again. And here's the divine appointment that I had on July 22nd, 2022 at 2:22. So lots of, anytime you see the number 2, you see a sorceress. I'm just going to speak for myself, working in partnership. And that partnership is a rune. All right, now let's see what rune we're working with here. Shall we? I just drew this. This is my third try, so this one's going to be a charm, so to speak. I just drew. Now, I like this. Now, this is confirmation for me. This is harvest, I believe. Yep. Number 13, okay. The New Jerusalem's number is 13. So I have all the confirmation I need. This is bingo. And I had these breakthroughs with Lord of the Rings author J.R.R. Tolkien, but not with Lord of the Rings. I have a caution about the new one where Galadriel is manifested as a younger woman. If Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovering No More has a caution with that, you better listen. That's fairy tale, it's not fae tale. Galadriel is Hollywood's none of your business. It's none of your business what Galadriel actually is in real life among the women. None of Hollywood's business. when it comes to the occult and how I've had to cleanse the temple, so to speak, tribe Judah elect, according to the book of 2 John, stick with runes, most of you coming out of the occult. You need to discipline yourself, sexually and otherwise. I'm not going to talk to you like that if I see you face to face. I will encourage you. I am a real pagan. If you want to get down to brass tacks, I'm a real Christian, a real Muslim, a real atheist, and a real agnostic. You name it, I can be it. That's what a universalist is, who's a sorceress in Austin, Texas. And I have seen the Lord. Don't like that? Don't call me arrogant. Your karma will shift. You don't know what it's like to be us, Tribe Judah elect. You don't know what it's like. Our families have enough to deal with without you continuing to judge us. And you're the good and great people I'm talking to. I'm not talking about these watchers. That I'm getting more information. See, getting more information. So let's come back to pull up a chair with a warm cup of tea. Read this poem as I smile at thee. I will immediately go make a cup of tea. I kid you not. This will be my third cup. And I have a whole, see, I have a whole thing of water that I'm working on because I had 2 cups of coffee. I love coffee with chicory in it, so I treated myself to a couple of cups because we're on a vacation day today. And so I have to slow myself down. And indeed, I drew cards. I drew Rider-Waite cards. They're downstairs with another poem, Robert Browning's poem, and it told me point blank, too many burdens. A lot of type A personality good drive among Tribe Judah elect, and I'm pretty much going to level this to my brother, my king, and myself after what happened yesterday. Silence in the courts. Okay. Harvest. For those of us who will discipline ourselves, slow down, and stop mouthing anything but derision and execration to the Republican Party and to anybody with that narrative in the United States of America. It is really that simple right now. But as to this gorgeous poem that I'm about to read, this is speaking harvest to good and great people who are not a part of any of the narrative that is negative coming out of our past lives. We purposely and use our free will to go towards a political, a monetary, and a aura of goodness and greatness. That's what we are. That's who we are. I don't know if you're that or not. I do know who is not in the political realm. It is obvious. The criminality has reached red alert. So the reason I had to do 3 of this is because first off, I'm faithful. Secondly, understanding death matters. And thirdly, we Tribe Judah elect are having to separate more and more what actually happened with the Watchers and what is actually happening with angels and archangels that are in the human form, male and female, in the modern day. That's not something I'm going to put on blogs. I will motion to it occasionally because the books of Enoch and Revelation will have me do that as a person, not just a man, a person who understands the 666. I was going to say who I'm talking in the strongest right now is Catherine of Siena. She died at 33 of infirmity in the Catholic Church. That church is in Oak Hill. Okay? I've done work there. One of the priests there ain't even an American citizen, and I consider that a good thing, and he's of Scottish-Irish descent, and that's speaking right into my runestone side. Beatty is very Irish in past generations. So this is way back. I don't give a fuck. No, I've not had my blood tested for DNA. I don't give a fuck. I'm talking spiritually. Okay. I already know how worthless I am in this society. In the flesh. Oh my goodness. That's funny. So I'm speaking harvest here when I read this poem, which is a darn sight better than what it was the last 2 times I tried. God's acre. I like that ancient Saxon phrase. See, now there's the Saxon. That is runestones. I was like, oh, wow, we're speaking in a zone I am very strong in. I like that ancient Saxon phrase which calls the burial ground God's acre. It is just. It consecrates each grave within its walls and breathes a benison or the sleeping dust. That's a benediction. God's acre, yes, that blessed name imparts comfort to those who in the grave have sown the seed that they had garnered in their hearts, their bread of life, alas, no more their own. Into its furrows shall we all be cast, in the sure faith that we shall rise again at the great harvest. And here I came upstairs, and I chose harvest. Do not ever tell me that my ancestors, my testimony, and the runes themselves are meaningless, aren't real, are too mystical to understand. All of it's bullshit. I'm a sorceress. You can be a spiritualist. If you don't know what to call yourself, that's okay. And maybe someday you will. That's where you need to love yourself as you love your neighbor. Now, I will close with an admittance of something that I'm going to grow in as the moon goddess. Fae tale. There's many of us. Fae tale. And we are in unity, and I'm going to slow down, love myself, and become in unity with the common knowledge of what the moon goddess is. And I found some cards and whatnot for blessing in that, and I will show you. And I started a new website. Well, The Hobbit, it was very clear that to open the door at the very beginning of the movie, even, they had to use moonlight. So there are 2 books that are going on the new website. I may post some of my journey towards unification of all moon goddess representations on the earth today in physical form. Most likely going to have a vagina, not necessarily all the time. There's neither male nor female in Christ, is where I'm going there. So I will put some of my work into my own journal there just to encourage us. As the moon goddess representation, all of the people, neither male nor female, that are in that zone, those families are different than other families. I will tell you that. There's a peace and a quiet in the solitary place of our silences that is gorgeous indeed. Okay. So here I did it again. I showed you the battle. So this is the 3rd video. The poem. Poems are life breath to our entire existence, and I'm fellowshipping with several poets, none of whom are alive, but they're alive to me because I'm an immortal sorceress who can call up the people that I'm going to have in my rooms in this house. The oracle, the people, you name it, I control that. 2 John, accurate. We have too many men in Christian, post-Christian worlds that are crying over spilt fucking milk. You didn't have enough control in my life. Now my whole life is sad because I don't have enough control. You know what? Go fuck yourself and read more history if you're doing that. Okay, so I'm going to start with verse 2 again. God's acre, yes, that blessed name imparts comfort to those who in the grave have sown. The seed that they had garnered in their hearts, their bread of life, alas, no more their own. Into its furrows shall we all be cast, in the sure faith that we shall rise again at the great harvest, when the archangel's blast shall winnow like a fan the chaff and grain. Then shall the good stand in immortal bloom in the fair gardens of that second birth, and each bright blossom mingle its perfume with that of flowers which never bloomed on earth. With thy rude plowshare, death, turn up the sod. Okay? That's the sword of death being turned into the plowshare. And Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Mr. Mystic here, is highly intelligent to be able to write it, that the Bible, in a poet form, in no less the Old Testament, not even the New Testament. That's quite an immortal, let me tell you. With thy rude plowshare, death, turn up the sod, and spread the furrow for the seed we sow. This is the field and acre of our God. This is the place where human harvests grow. He is the one of the 4 and 20 elders. Yes, this man is. That needs to be men, and I'm a woman coming alongside, and I'm going to point something out to you. Don't feel dumb about this. Okay? Here's my little poem. Pull up a chair with a warm cup of tea. Read this poem as I smile at thee. Here's Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem. And, oh my goodness. Okay? Huge difference. That's okay. That's okay. More and more I'm finding my calling in my life as a scribe in the Enoch generation. And that will tweak all of the degradation I have experienced, finding myself, because I had the burden of pulling out of a Christian world that my family had served faithfully in, and to be honest, we were nurtured there, but you have to follow those rules, and my family and I can't do that anymore. It's not the calling on our lives. Beware, it shouldn't be the calling on yours either. America, you should be changing the past for greatness. Instead, many of you particularly sourcing and emanating out of the Christian church and the vitriol coming through the criminal Republican Party, you're showing your ass. And you've been doing that since before my granddaddy was born to die. If I'm not mistaken, he may be along between 30 and 33, maybe 36. He had already had 6 pregnancies and seen 1 baby into the grave with his dear wife. A nobody, poor yet strong and working. He was Luciferian, was my grandfather. So now you see Lucifer giving over his life in the modern day, whether you like that or not, Republican Party. I don't know the politics of my grandpapa, but I do know the politics of Abraham Lincoln. And every 14th of April, you're going to remember something. America, Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered No More, who has seen the Lord, was born 101 years to the day that one of you asshats murdered a man in the presidency. And you like it that by 2017 January, you got that bullshit in there, and then took it so far as to take out Roe versus Wade after 50 good years of more autonomy for children, for the children that have vaginas in your midst, because you're all bent on control of everything and everyone and using as much power, hi Rupert Murdoch, as you can to do your wicked deeds of hell on earth. And you're definitely eating, drinking, and being merry doing that bullshit. You want any more Bible? today, Republican Party? Probably not.